All right, I gotta hurry up and get this shit done. You know what I'm saying? The fights are on.
Joe. Oh,
that's deep.
Real review. Itchy ass real review. Golly, I'm scratching today. Today, we are going to be talking about Heart Eyes, released February 7th, 2025, directed by Josh Ruben.
It should have been me, not him!
I like the movie a lot. It falters here and there, but for the most part, it's very enjoyable. Before I say anything else, of course, I'm gonna throw up that quick spoiler warning, you feel me? If you have not watched Heart Eyes in its entirety and you do not want to be spoiled, as I will be talking about this movie in some detail, I suggest you click off the video, come back once you watch the movie, of course. It'll be here for you. But if you don't care, you don't care. We welcome you anyway. It's not much to really talk about here. We're just gonna get into it. You know what I'm talking about? Starting off with this weird ass intro. The first scene, not even the intro, but the first scene is weird as shit. This couple, I don't know their names. It's like some type of getaway in a vineyard. Now this guy is proposing to his girl. It's all cute and stuff, yada yada yada, all that jazz. What I found weird though is that he hides the ring in a strawberry and then feeds it to her.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
I feel like that's dangerous, no? Because like, what if she choked on it? You know what I'm saying? Like, she actually bit into the ring, pulled it out of her mouth, and all the strawberry gooey shit, and he picked the ring out the thing. Ugh. Now this movie starts off pretty gosh darn quick. The guy who's proposing has a photographer on standby to get a picture of their perfect moment. Hangs up with the guy because he messed up the shot or something like that. Ooh, this guy ain't having a good day. Right as he hangs up the phone, out of nowhere a machete just goes straight through the camera lens into his face and out the back of his skull. I want to say they use a lot of practical effects here, definitely towards the end of the movie. If they did use VFX here, it looks so seamless though, so I can't even knock on that. Like, we also get a sense of how sadistic this killer is. In this movie, he does go by the Heart Eyes Killer, or HEK. This guy's a psycho. After he kills the cameraman, he of course does then turn on the couple that he's taking pictures of. No joke, this guy's using a crossbow because this movie can't get any more cliche. A crossbow bolt does sprout out of this dude's head and it looks pretty cool. Props to the practical effects here as well. The lady, of course, not wanting to die, she runs off in a panic. And this is what I mean by him being a sadist. He wants to ensure the most amount of pain he possibly can, I'm sure, physically or psychologically, because he uses the guy's phone to call the fiance, the new fiance, by the way, because he just proposed minutes beforehand. It is a very decent cold open. She runs into the main factory, I guess, gets the security guard killed. In her effort to hide from the HEK, she gets into one of the grape presses, and I mean the big industrial grape presses. She is wounded at this point, so I'm sure she's being as quiet as she possibly can. That only lasts as long as you would think. So Heart Eyes does know she's in there and he tries to pull her out. She actually slams his hand in the door of the press, and that does seem to drive him away. This is another point as to how sadistic this guy is. He's a sicko. Notices what she's sitting in, right? So what does he do? He turns that sucker on, and my gosh, that's just terrifying. I couldn't imagine being in her shoes. Like, this gives me vintage slasher feels. We get a great scream from her when her fiance dies. You get another great scream as she's dying herself inside the press. We see her head get whoosh. Also, the sound design, I'm actually gonna give him a strong point here because the sound design off rip is great. Very eerie, very creepy, all that jazz. I love that shit. Again, it gives us those vintage slasher feels, so they're gonna get a strong point for that as well. You can't go wrong with a slasher film, you know what I'm saying? I'm biased, of course, but like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, when it comes to horror, I'm just saying. Cold intro, fire. Love it. Absolutely love it. Now we move on to the main body, the meat and potatoes of the movie, starting off in a coffee shop where we meet our main character, Allie, who's played by Olivia Holt. And my gosh, does she look good in this film. Me being a Disney kid, I was happy to see her. I'm not gonna lie. Disney has this thing where like, you'll see somebody for so many years growing up and then you'll never see him again acting wise, right? I love the fact that Olivia Holt kind of stayed active after she got out of Disney's shadow and stuff like that. Huge W for this one right here. This casting is great. I like the casting in general, but this casting is pretty damn good for our main character. We do also meet our second main character, Jay, played by Mason Gooding. I can't put a finger on where I've seen him before, but I've seen him before. Oh, he was in the last two Screams. Okay, so I thought I was tweaking. Don't like those movies, but that's besides the point. There's this whole thing where she's, I guess, stalking her ex. Don't get it. Not too much there. I guess they needed it for how the movie does continue when we get into the actual main part of the film. And also, just, they're not a couple at first, of course, but like, dude, they're so insufferable. Like, their first interaction is such a It's so bad. It's a good story for after, of course, right? Once you two get, start building a life together. It's a good story to tell your kids. I just don't like it. First of all, they had the exact same coffee order. So of course, when the barista calls Allie's order, she goes to reach for it. This guy reaches for it at the same time. Yuck. And then of course, when they go over to talk about it, not even talk about it, because they just kept bumping heads. Like, no joke. Not even like saying they were arguing. They bumped heads twice, like physically, like she dropped a sugar packet. They both went to grab it, bow, and then as she came back up, bow. Also, just a quick point, whose hair is this? Hold on, focus. Don't focus on me. Don't focus on me. No, not on me. Not on me. Ah, never mind. Just quick note here, just because the HEK or Hard Eyes is very notorious or infamous, whatever you want to call it. So he's been doing this for years, I guess. This is what blows me, because he started off in Boston. Shout out Boston, folks. You know what I'm saying? Don't know why I put the fist up. Then he went to Philly. Granted, that's like a 6-hour drive. I don't know why he made that trek, but to each their own. Then this year, the beginning of the movie, it actually was in Seattle. That's where the movie takes place. So he went from Boston to Philly to Seattle. That boy was putting some travel points on his shit. We actually do cut back to the vineyard. The bodies have been found. The police are now on the scene. We get probably the dopest side character intros I've seen in a while, just because of who they are. I'm gonna say this once, and I'm just gonna get it out the way. I'm sure I'm gonna say it again. Devin Sawa. I don't know if he was in the trailer or not. I've watched it one time. Devin Sawa. When I saw him in the movie, I jumped out of my seat. I was like, that's Devin Sawa, one of my favorite actors in the horror genre. You've seen him in Final Destination, you've seen him in Idle Hands, you've seen him in the Chucky TV series. If you watch that piece of shit, you gotta love the guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm a huge fan of Devin Sawa. He was in The Fanatic with John Travolta. Great horror actor. I'm telling you, great. Devin Sawa is playing Detective Hobbs. With him is Jordana Brewster from Fast and Furious 1 through 6, I think. Jordana is playing Detective Shaw. Yes, their names are Hobbs and Shaw. I'm assuming that was a joke because of Jordana being in the Fast and Furious series. I couldn't tell you why they decided to go with those names, but whatever. They make one joke out of it, that's it. Devin Sawa's character, Detective Hobbs, he's a pervert. He gives us one hit of him being a pervert, and then that's it. I don't know why. We cut back to Allie, who's at her day job. She's an advertisement company, I believe. We meet her boss, Crystal, who I love. Crystal's very, very funny. Also, a quick question. What is with the metal straws? At this point, we've seen 2 or 3. She just happens to have them, I guess. I guess it makes sense for how they end the movie, but just why? Why all the metal straws? I'm not gonna be able to stop saying this. She is so fine. As she's at her job, Jay, who we met a moment ago in the coffee shop, is actually a freelance advertiser, whatever you want to call it, helping her company. She's a bit embarrassed, granted that she did headbutt this nigga like 20 minutes ago. Jay, of course, him feeling the chemistry that they had, if you want to call it that, he asks her out to dinner. She does agree, reluctantly, of course. When she's getting ready, the outfit she picked on, the makeup, the hair, she looked good. Let me chill out though. Now, as they're at the dinner, I honestly thought the waiter here was Hard Eyes. Like, it was just weird how they framed the camera on him, but it wasn't him. So I don't know why they did that to him. I was like, bro, why'd you just throw the aspersion on him like that? I was ready to kill this nigga. No, I wasn't. I'm lying like shit. But we also get more of like Allie's character here. She's such a Debbie Downer. When Jay comes to the dinner, she's so pessimistic about love. She just broke up with this dude, so I guess that's a fresh wound or whatever. But I don't know why she starts shitting on Jay. Jay actually seems like a very genuine guy. I don't know why she just shit on him for like 5 minutes straight, and then he felt bad, decided that he's gonna cut his losses and leave her alone, and guess what? She chased after him. What was the point? Funny enough, as she's outside with Jay trying to explain that she's feeling some type of way, she thinks he's coming for her job. He's trying to tell her that I'm not coming for your job. No joke, her ex walks up to the restaurant, and in an effort, I guess she's trying to make him jealous because she's jealous or something, she just decides to just kiss Jay right then and there. And I mean full-blown hard-pressed body kiss. Some steamy stuff here, and I'm gonna say it now, she low-key set them up with this kiss. I mean, they confirm this later in the movie, but just how this looks, we see across the street 2 eye holes, but they're 2 heart-shaped eye holes looking at her, so as if like someone's looking through a mask with heart eyes. If you catch my drift, Hard Eyes, I guess, is only going after couples. And if I see that in the street, that level of PDA, I'ma think that's a couple. I would hope so, at least. I do think here is the intro, by the way. Very decent. Introduced us to the killers. Good character development here. Good setting, I guess. The camera work's not terrible, but it's very average. I'm just gonna go over a couple quick things that I do find entertaining about this film. Now, starting off with Jay. Again, he's a very good guy, but he's also quite funny. He was cracking me up in this entire film. As they get to Allie's apartment, because she decided to have that whole act with Jay. Now they gotta act like a couple as they're leaving. She gets in his Uber, decide to drop her off at her apartment, but she can't get in because she lost her keys somewhere. So Jay offers to break the window for her. She wanted to break the window. He decided to step in and do it himself, because like the way she was setting her shit up, first of all, if you punch like this, you know what I'm saying? If you punch like that, you're gonna break your hand. He just decided, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I got you. When he breaks the window, and then he looks at his hand and he's gushing blood. Now, as they are in the apartment, she's trying to stitch him up because, again, he did injure himself getting her into her own home. This apartment is quite in disarray. She's trying to help him, but also she's trying to keep face here. Matter of fact, there's a dildo on the nightstand right in her room. She tries to put it away very discreetly and throw it in the closet. And now as she opens the closet, guess who's in that goddamn closet? Yup, Hard Eyes. I wish they didn't ruin that in the trailer, because that would have been so cool. But I guess they had to build the trailer on something. Why not? Now, another strong point, if I didn't give it already, I like the score here also. It's very good with the tension building we get here. As these two are running away from Hard Eyes, we get to like some type of circus park. It's a carousel here, so I don't know what to call it. Again, the score does build the tension very well here. We do see more of Hard Eyes here. Again, he's terrifying, dog. Like, just the bloodlust he has for these two. And again, they're not even a couple. He just thinks that. So at some point, Jay gets knocked out. Hard Eyes chases after Allie, and she does fend off Hard Eyes here. But when the police show up, because I'm assuming her neighbors, I would say, even had heard all the screaming and stuff, they for some reason think Jay's Hard Eyes. Hard Eyes, before he got the chance to kill Allie, he does at some point, I guess, leave his mask and crossbow next to Jay's unconscious body. So when the police show up, yeah, he's not looking too good. They take him to the station for questioning. Devin Sawa's character is also very funny here too. Again, I like the side characters we get with Detective Shaw and Detective Hobbs. I think it did so well with the casting, and the chemistry was there, you know what I'm saying? It's not supposed to be a comedy, but when they throw jokes out there, it sticks. I think that has a lot to do with the characters we have here, and dare I say it, carries the movie, if I'm gonna be honest. Actually, no, Hard Eyes definitely carries the movie. The casting does a pretty damn good job of holding its own weight, though. Let me say that. Allie did go down to the station as well and protest, because clearly it's not Jay. She bumps into this IT guy or whatever. Just how they frame him, he has to be Hard Eyes. They just threw us a couple suspects, so I just didn't know who to pick from. Wish they hit it a bit better, but hey, what can you do? Now the power does go out in the police station. Of course, that causes panic. He does show up here in quite spectacular fashion, I might add, because the police officer that's manning the front desk, keeping an eye on her, I guess, she gets a flagpole through the spine. These kills are type fire. I'm not gonna lie. Like, Hard Eyes is creative here. He sticks that straight through her back and then lifts her up with the flagpole. And this is a hefty looking lady, so I'll give him a strong point for that. The kills are cool as shit. Now Allie does run into Detective Shaw. Hard Eyes is here, help me. She sees Hard Eyes, she takes a couple shots at him. We don't see what happens next. We do go back to the interrogation room with Jay and Hobbs. Now Hobbs decides that he's just gonna go out and check what the commotion is, and he runs straight into Hard Eyes. I hate this so much, but Detective Hobbs is our first major casualty of the film, as he does get seemingly neutered by the killer. Straight up, like he took the machete right to the shaboing bone. Now Hard Eyes does show up in the room with Jay. Jay is handcuffed to the table, so there's only so much he can do to like protect himself. Allie has gotten her hands on one of the officers' firearms and then tries to shoot Hard Eyes. My god, this girl's aim is dog shit. And I understand that I've only shot a gun once, but I didn't do too damn bad, if I may say so myself. Now these two do get out of the precinct, thankfully. Let me just say this also. I like the chemistry between these two characters. They do run into like a drive-in theater, and as they're trying to find a place to hide, they decide to get into this van. Now in the back of the van is this couple. No joke, the couple thinks they're fucking around, and I apologize for cussing, but what happens next is pretty damn crazy. They think it's just role play, so they get to humping. What the freak? At some point they end up being way too loud, and Hard Eyes shows up, and we get probably the coolest kill of the damn movie. movie. Now, Hard Eyes does take the gentleman and stab him through the mouth hole with a tire iron. And using the same tire iron as it's lodged in this dude's head, takes the girl, rams her face right on top of her ex-lover. Can I even say that? Because he just died. He didn't leave her. But you know what I'm saying. We do get a pretty damn cool shot as the camera travels through the hole in the lady's mouth to see her shocked face. That was in the trailer, I believe. They can get away with spoiling that, you know what I'm saying? They need that wow factor, so I get it. This is like towards the end of the movie, so I'm gonna bund this all up here and tie it up with a semi-nice bow, because, you know what I'm saying, I do have some problems here. They do get away, but as they're about to leave, for some reason, Ali stops. Hard Eyes is now going on a killing spree, which is pretty damn awesome, but he's killing everybody. Ali decides that we brought him here, so we gotta end this here. What the fuck? Leave. I would have been out. Jay even is like, what are you doing? He does reluctantly take her hand and they go to fight the killer, I guess. I would have hit them burner. We do get into a fight between Ali and Jay and Hard Eyes. For the most part, it seems like they're doing all right for themselves, you know what I'm saying? Jay's using the tire iron from before, like the same one. They pulled it out of that dude's mouth, I swear. But at some point, he does get unarmed, and Hard Eyes beat the shit out of this dude and knocked him straight on his ass. As he's raising that machete up, Ali comes from nowhere. I don't know, she grabbed like a propane tank or some shit and just mopped his shit. That looked like it hurt so bad, I'm sorry. And he started bleeding from the eyes and stuff. Oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine that. Granted, it's a killer, but like Hard Eyes doesn't seem to go down for the count. I don't know how here, so he turns around, he tries to choke Ali, and as he does, Jay does grab Hard Eyes' machete and drives it straight through his chest. And that is the end of Hard Eyes, or so we think. Now, the reason I say that, because it is a bit of a twist here. So Ali and Jay are now at the back of an ambulance getting checked out. Now Jay, he does give out a last ditch effort to get together with Ali, I guess. Jay does ask Ali if he would like to go back to his hotel room so we can actually finish the work here. Even though they had like a heartfelt, heart-to-heart, whatever you want to call it, there was actually a pretty good monologue early in the film in the van where those two people were, you know, for lack of a better word, riding each other. She said she can't do it. She can't do a relationship right now. And he decides that, hey, what can you do? You know what I'm saying? I tried, so I'm just gonna go home. Jay is also leaving the next day for like a wedding or something, so this is the last day she would probably see him for a little bit. Now as Jay does leave, gets a ride from Detective Shaw to go back to his hotel room. Ali does go back to her apartment, but she's quite sad, right? She thinks she missed out on a great opportunity at a relationship here. So she, you know what, she decides that, hey, I'm actually gonna go for it this time. So she gets back up, she leaves her apartment, she heads to the airport because he's had to have boarded the airport by now. But when she gets there, she doesn't see Jay, but she gets a phone call from someone. When she picks it up, all she hears is roses are red, violets are black. Something, 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 guess who's back? Something along them lines. Whoever's on the phone tells her that you need to come to this church right now or you're never gonna see Jay again. She does go to the church. At the church, we see Jay. Behind Jay is Hard Eyes. We just killed Hard Eyes. Nope, that was not him. Hard Eyes removes his mask. And who is it? It's the IT guy that I guess we were supposed to remember. He's not wearing glasses at this point, so like, no joke, it's like a Clark Kent situation. I did not recognize him as the IT guy without his glasses. But it also begs the question, who the hell died? Turns out that Hard Eyes isn't working alone here. And if you were watching this movie, you should have guessed it by now. Detective Shaw is in on this as well. Turns out she's married to Hard Eyes, or David, I guess he goes by. They had a disciple slash throuple, they called it. I don't know what. His name was Eli. That's who Jay killed. This ending, I thought it was ass at first, but it's not bad. It's on weak legs. We'll say that. It's on very weak legs. Hard Eyes, or Heart Eyes, Shaw and David do give Ali a choice. Either pick up this gun, shoot yourself, or shoot Jay and we'll let you go. She gives some type of a like heartfelt soliloquy, I guess you could say, where she's talking about like, you know, I had such a great night tonight. This is the night I've dreamed of, yada, yada, yada. She puts the gun up to her head. Jay's begging her not to shoot herself. Right as she's about to pull the trigger, I guess, she aims the gun at these two dickheads, pulls the trigger. This shit is actually loaded, by the way. My gosh, I could have turned bad for those two killers if they didn't think past that. Now she does aim for Shaw, or her, whatever her name is. Again, she's a bad shot, so she actually ends up shooting Jay through the shoulder. The bullet does go through and through, and it hits Shaw at least, so you know there's that. But here we do get a fight between Jay and David and Shaw and Ali. Very one-sided at first, I'll tell you that. They're kicking our protagonist's ass, as David is a bit distracted because he's so like weird about him and Shaw. Like, they're married, I guess, but still, it's like they're so horny for violence. I don't know how else to frame that. Like, they're so horny. It's like he's genuinely turned on watching his wife fighting another woman. And yeah, that distracts him long enough for for Jay being smart enough to reach into his belt here, grab one of the crossbow bolts, and stick it through David's eye, but not to where it would kill him, from the temple, so it sticks through his eye and he's still alive. Holy hell. Now David does stumble back into some candles, falls into a puddle of hot wax. He gets covered in some himself. He starts burning and stuff. We hear him screaming and it's like, oh my gosh, but it's all practical. I love it. Now over to Ali and Shaw's fight. Ali again getting her ass kicked. Shaw hits her with the 1-1-2. No joke. Ali pulls out the freaking metal straw that she has for some reason and sticks it right in her shit. No, that's not it though, because Ali then tackles Detective Shaw and sends her reeling back into this statue of Saint Valentine, who is holding a sword, and the sword goes straight through Detective Shaw's neck, and she's actually suspended in the air by her neck. And then gravity does his job. The weight of her body is just dragging her down, but the sword is keeping her head in its place. As the body's dragging down, it's ripping by the neck. She's decapitated at this point, and then the head falls onto her body, and it's like, oh, it's such good stuff though. It's all practical too. I love that shit. Ali does run to Jay, and David's still alive at this point, but that's taken care of pretty goddamn quick, as Jay just picks up the crossbow that's on the ground next to him and just sends another bolt straight through his forehead. Our two killers are dead. We do cut a denouement, but it's like a year later. Jay and Ali are together now. Ali actually is quitting her advertising job to go back to medical school, because that was a whole thing, I guess. And the movie ends when we're back at the same drive-in from earlier. These two are in a very, very nice looking convertible, by the way. And Jay pops a question, but not the question you'd think. He pulls out a box, but in the box is a key, and he asks her to move in with me. She says, no, I don't want the key. I want you. Not gonna lie, that would have had me. And then she pulls out a box of her own, and she actually, in a reverse proposal here, asks Jay, will you marry me? Jay says yes, they kiss, blah blah blah. Now the credits do roll here. We do get a mid-credit scene where, as they are still in the car, she gets a phone call. She picks up the phone. Roses are red, violets are blue. Guess who just took a picture of you? Whoa. But no, it's just Ali's friend. She was taking a picture of them for their proposal, of course. I'm sure that was planned between Ali and her friend. And the movie ends there. Credits roll. There you go. Bada boom, bada bing. It's a very good movie. Very enjoyable. Has its drawbacks, but it's fun nonetheless. Of course, we are going to give our overall ratings of the film, starting off with the writing and story. I don't think it's all that great. I can't say too much about the story. It's not terrible, but it's pretty good. I'm going to give the writing and the story here a 7 out of 10, which I think is fair. The story is the main part of the entire film. Without that, it falls apart. I think they did a fairly good job here. Next, we have the sound design and the score. Now, again, I do love the score. I do love the sound design here. It is quite eerie, quite creepy, not that memorable. It doesn't pull you that deep into the movie, which is not, you know what I'm saying, not terrible. It's not the worst thing. So that being said, I'm going to give the sound design and the score here another 7 out of 10. I think that's very fair. I think that's very generous. Next is the casting and acting. Casting, I think, is way better than the acting in this movie, but I don't think the acting is that far off. I like the main characters. I like the side characters. The only drawback, or the only thing I found wrong with the acting in this movie, is how the movie ended with Detective Shaw and David. They're the worst parts about this movie. So that being said, casting, acting, I'm gonna throw up a 7 out of 10. Again, I'm not trying to, I'm being serious here. This is me generally thinking about this. I think that's very fair though, you know what I'm saying? Next, we're gonna have the cinematography. It is quite average. It's not terrible. It's nothing like that pops out at you camera shot wise. I mean, we do get a cool shot of Hard Eyes when he's using his like night vision. That was dope, I'm not gonna lie. So if anything, that gives him a couple points there. That being said, cinematography, we're gonna give him an 8 out of 10. It's very easy to follow nonetheless. There's just nothing too crazy. Heart Eyes 2025, we are going to give a 7.5 out of 10. Pretty damn good, if I'm gonna be honest. Again, it's a very enjoyable movie. It's a vintage slasher film. Some of the slasher films that we know and love are not that good, so I think a 7 above is great. That was Hard Eyes. Appreciate y'all for tuning in to this video. If you did enjoy it, you could toss me one of the likes. I truly do appreciate them. They don't go without notice. Next week, we are going to be watching Captain America Brave New World, but it's gonna be it for me from here. Without further ado, I'm gonna bid y'all good night, better morning, all that ish, and I will catch y'all in the next one. I'm out.